Welcome back. And for this week on Business Movers, we have another most interesting personality who cuts a highly respectful figure in the field of architecture. He has done our country proud globally as he has contributed significantly to master building plans not only in the Philippines but in key cities across the globe. We would like you to meet architect Felino June Palafox, who has made his chosen profession proud.
Architect Felino June Palafox has quite a unique name for a Filipino. So, before anything else, we asked him about this.
The name Palafox came from Catalonia, Spain, I think in the 1571 thereabouts. So that's a family name, Palafox, from Barcelona to Alicante and so on. And they took roots in the north, from Pangasinan to Ilocos Norte. So I was born in Ilocos Norte, a small town called Bacara, Ilocos Norte. And my parents are, my late father was a doctor of medicine, and he was also a rural physician and also a college instructor in Lawag, St. William's College, now the Vanguard College. And my mother was my art teacher. My mother was a art and home economics teacher. She was my art teacher who taught me how to draw. But at my young age, my parents' home were across the church. So every day I served Mass, and as much as possible I received communion. And there were times also that I helped the sacristan ring the bell from the big tower. And that must have influenced me entering the seminary in high school. And the things I did when in my young age was the church, the school, and the beach.
While on the beach, the young June Palafox loved building townships and buildings, displaying his early fascination with building and creating. With his 9 siblings and some friends from the neighborhood, they built a basketball court in front of their house, apart from fashioning toys from tin cans and old rubber tires. His father, now deceased, was a medical doctor, and his mother, an art and home economics teacher, were both professionals. But with 10 mouths to feed, they augmented their family income with a gasoline station.
I helped in the gasoline station. At that time, there was no electricity in the town, so I had to pump gasoline out of the petrol pumps, and I washed jeepneys.
At an early age, he was already multitasking back when the word was not even invented yet. He had to wake up very early, even before breakfast was served at home and before going to school in order to serve at Mass.
What influenced me very much was the church, the priests, and I met missionaries, German missionaries and American missionaries, SVDs, these are the Vanguard missionaries who were at the school of my father, the Vanguard College, formerly St. William's.
He spent his high school in a seminary in Ilocos, and then moved to the Christ the King mission in Quezon City, where he also had his first multicultural and multinational experience, and where he was surprised to be appointed as class senior, then as bell ringer, librarian, and ultimately, in his 4th year, elected as president of Christ the King Mission Club.
Class senior is when the teachers are out or the professors are out, the mentors are out. I take care of the class, like grading my fellow seminarians and classmates on discipline, prayers, and so on, and orderliness.
At age 13, he was chosen over older boys from big universities and cities in a new international community. He learned that to be a good leader, one must be a good follower, and to report wrongdoers even if they happen to be friends. From his foreign mentors, he got exposed to urban planning early on.
Also, I got exposed to the urban planning of Rome and Athens and many of the European cities, and the great cathedrals in Europe. So maybe when I was in the seminary, at the back of my mind, I was aside from the spirituality, becoming a priest, I must have been interested in the great architecture, and I even perfected. There was a quiz on, you go around the world and you sequence the different global cities. I was the only one, I think, who got a perfect score.
Though he wanted to be a priest early on, and even a medical doctor like his father, he eventually discovered that he enjoyed combining arts with science, and finally settled on architecture. And from the rigid community life in a seminary where they used to learn Latin twice a day, every day, he moved to the University of Santo Tomas College of Architecture.
I had to learn and unlearn a lot of things, including the vocabulary of a teenager, and even the way dressing up.
The emphasis on promptness and honesty in the seminary has helped him in his chosen field. At UST, he became class president, battalion commander, and despite his height, was a good basketball player. And while at the UST, he became editor of the Vision magazine of architecture and fine arts, the only amateur arts and architecture magazine in the country.
After UST, I worked for a while as a dropson for one of my professors, Architect Santos. Then I saw in the papers there was an available United Nations scholarship at University of the Philippines for a master's degree in environmental planning. And I got the scholarship. So I had stipends higher than what my contemporaries were earning.
But to get there, he had to agree to work for the government 2 years for every year of scholarship.
I took the master's degree in 13 months. So I was able to negotiate, work for government only for 2 years.
He likewise worked for UP President O.D. Corpus, whom he describes as the best UP president, and the Department of Public Works, Transportation, and Communication.
We had the best Secretary of Public Works, Transportation and Communications, the big consulting. And while working there, I was appointed as senior planner and team leader for Metroplan Manila, World Bank funded. And I also worked partly on the Manila-based strategic plan, funded by the United Nations Development Program. Yeah, I was invited, but I told them that even if the offer was very, very attractive, wife plus 2 children, everything free, very high salaries, maybe 20 times what I used to earn here. So they waited for me. I finished the Metro Plan, then moved to Dubai with my wife and daughter. They built a villa for us, and it was in Dubai that I met the Henrices and the Ayalas, my future employers and future clients here.
Architect June Palafox was the only Southeast Asian and the youngest architect from among the 20 expatriates from 14 countries when he worked in Dubai. And in fact, his second daughter, Karima, now also an urban planner like him, was the first Filipino born in Dubai and worked with the ruling class there from 1977 to 1981.
Everywhere I went, I think the Lord has blessed me that they were life-changing. This is like Dubai. The instructions of the ruler of Dubai were, I remember 5. Bring Dubai from the third world into the first world in 15 years. They were able to do it in 10 years. Design Dubai as if there's no oil, because in 35, 40 years they would run out of oil. Create a garden city out of the desert. So we're importing garden soil from Pakistan, irrigation from Germany, flowers from Holland. And then make Dubai a pace-setter city, #1 city in the Middle East and North Africa in 15 years. They were able to do it also in 10 years. Then the best that I like very much was they encouraged us, for every year of service, go around the world with your family and learn lessons from the best practices in the world.
This outstanding architect of the world is also an indefatigable crusader with many advocacies.
The crusade advocacies for protecting the environment and reporting corruption, although it may negatively impact on our practice, I go for it because tomorrow you may be gone.
Not many know that architect June Palafox was a student of Harvard 8 times and was a guest lecturer at this prestigious institution even before he became a student. He was also a guest lecturer at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, or MIT, before the Philippines architects took notice of him and eventually began inviting him to give lectures and presentations at home. Much of his professional time is taken up by these lectures and speaking engagements as well as projects abroad.
Me, my wife, and my children encourage everyone to see the same number of countries as the number of years in your age. And I may be a little bit behind because I'll be 65 years old this March. I've only been to 63 countries, visiting and observing more than 2,000 cities. And I'm now 42 years as an architect. I've only done projects in 38 countries.
In more recent times, the government of Ilocos Norte has also appointed his company, Palafox and Associates, to be consultant in the Ilocos Tourism Master Plan. And he is also the principal architect for the seminary being built in the St. Andrew Parish, where he was baptized, making his life take a 360-degree turn.
Looking back, most, if not all of my employment, I was invited. Yeah, come to think of it. Even my first job as a draftsman, my architecture professor from UST, Santos Leona, invited me to work with him. Then after my scholarship in UP, I already had jobs waiting for me. The office of the president of UP for a few months, then the Secretary of Public Works, Transportation and Communication. I was able to, and I remember, I was a very, very young man. I had the opportunity to change my passport, but I never wanted to. I always remain a Filipino. I never applied for another citizenship, although I've been invited.
He is active in various foreign chambers, chair of the Environment and Urban Development Committee of the American Chamber of Commerce, founding member of the German Chamber of Commerce, governor of the Canadian Chamber of Commerce, and an active member of the European Chamber of Commerce.
If I may, I got the best education in the world, from hard knocks to Harvard.
And add to that the best employers in the world, from sheiks to the powerful families in the Philippines. Asked how he gauges the leaders of our local governments, this is what he had to say.
I say 10% of them are very good. The 90%, they can be better.
When he designs buildings, he recognizes that the chief architect is still the Lord up there, but sets to work with the best core values.
When we design buildings or group of buildings, it's people first or social equity. How many jobs will be created? How many people will enjoy that? To live, work, shop and dine, learn and worship, with healthcare and so on, and the jobs. Then planet Earth. What will you contribute? This building or master plan will contribute to the environment. Then we can talk about profits or economic growth. And then in some cases, we also, the fourth one would be culture, arts, history, heritage. And number 5 is spirituality. If you are state of grace, you can sanctify your work. For me, open spaces add value. They are the lungs of the city. I go against destroying trees. I gave up $1 million in architect's fee, and our clients in Subic, they wanted us to destroy 366 70-year-old trees. So I returned the contract $1 million and protected those trees.
Perhaps he loses as much as 30% of his prospective clients who do not meet his primary requirement of respecting the environment. But he sticks to practicing architectural activism. Architecture for humanity, not just for the rich, but for the poor as well. And even interfaith architecture. He built the biggest mosque in the country located in Cotabato and funded by the Sultan of Brunei. He has also done extensive post-disaster rehabilitation work, not only at home but in other countries, and his building of public schools in Iran was recognized by an American award.
Ambassador of Goodwill through architecture, doing projects in 3 cultures, 3 nationalities, 3 religions, interfaith, international, multicultural.
He laments that even as the Philippines has so much blessings, we have not moved forward due to corruption, criminality, and sadly, climate change.
We need, number 1, visionary leadership. Leaders with vision. Number 2, strong political will. Number 3, good planning. That's where we urban planners can help. Number 4, good design. That's where we architects and engineers can help. Then number 5, good governance. And I'm working on a Philippine development plan well into the 21st century. So what can be done within the next 100 years? The next 100 days. What can be done from March 16th? I'll be 65. So that's my contribution to our society. Then next 100 days, then till the end of this administration, 2016. Then 2021, when the Philippines will be 500 years old, as a Christian nation, as Philippines discovered by Magellan, and our first exposure to the Western civilization. And then 2025, towards the plan, 2025 to 2050. So that may be the assignment I got from my Harvard professor. You die tonight. Who will write your eulogy and what legacy I can leave behind to my children and fellow Filipinos, this generation and future generations.
This Eucharistic minister of the Holy Communion has been cited as one of 48 heroes of philanthropy in Asia by Forbes magazine, and of only 4 in the Philippines. His wife Wilma goes with him wherever he goes. They have 3 children. The eldest, Katrina, an ophthalmologist, the second daughter, an urban planner with 2 master's degrees in economics and urban planning, and the third, son Philip, who is a licensed broker and appraiser, works with him at Palafox and Associates, heading the building specifications group. Even media giants CNN and Al Jazeera have recognized the difference he has created. They wanted to meet the crazy architect from the Philippines who refused $1 million in architectural fees because he wanted to save 366 70-year-old trees.
A giant of a man indeed is architect Felino Palafox, master planner and architect par excellence.